Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Albanese Labor government's decision to invest almost $1 billion of taxpayers' money into the American company PsiQuantum raises several serious questions which warrant scrutiny, and the opposition has sought to hold up to that appropriate scrutiny this extraordinary bet with public money. The government has trenchantly resisted that scrutiny, but what we see is a very large amount of public money being bet on one particular company pursuing one particular technology path within the broad field of quantum, the field in which people who have worked for 20 or 30 years cannot say with certainty which of the many paths being explored is likely to achieve a successful outcome. A very poor process was followed to get to this decision. The Albanese government agreed to assess an unsolicited proposal from PsiQuantum as early as November 2022, 2 months before external probity advisers were engaged. The Department of Industry, Science and Resources entered into a non-binding agreement with PsiQuantum in June 2023. Yet the government tells us that all is above board because there was an expression of interest process available to a wide range of companies, even though that only commenced in August 2023. Companies were invited to participate by one email only. There were no follow-up phone calls. There was no second email. Those who were invited to participate were told they could not speak with Australian government officials. This was after PsiQuantum had been speaking for more than 8 months with Australian government officials, up to and including the minister, and the minister had met with them at least twice and had visited their premises in California. We now know the terms of the expression of interest, which essentially asked respondents to match the promise made by PsiQuantum of building a fault-tolerant, error-corrected quantum computer by 2030. Many in the sector are very sceptical that this can be done. In this regard, there's a very interesting article that's just come out in Nature, the world's leading multidisciplinary science journal. And let me quote a couple of things which are said there. So the journalist, Elizabeth Gibney, has this to say, quotes, "Yet compared with its competitors, PsiQuantum has shown very little. Rather than building up gradually, as others have done, by debuting systems of tens or hundreds of quantum bits, PsiQuantum is aiming to jump to a machine that will require something in the order of 1 million qubits. To do that, it will need to overcome technical challenges it has not proved it can solve," says Chao Yang Lu, a physicist working on photonic quantum computing at the University of Science and Technology of China in Shanghai. He is one of several scientists who worry the firm is promising things it will struggle to deliver. Quotes, "My impression is there's a lot of scepticism about how much progress PsiQuantum has made," close quotes, says Shimon Kolkowitz, a quantum physicist at the University of California, Berkeley. He calls a bet on them, that is PsiQuantum, quotes, "extremely high risk," close quotes. Now, this is the company. You've just heard an assessment of the credibility of their claims from respected global scientists. This is the company on which the Minister for Industry and Science has chosen to bet almost $1 billion of taxpayers' money. He's set himself up as the biggest, most risk-loving venture capitalist of all. The problem is he's not putting at risk private money, he's putting at risk the money of Australian taxpayers. And it's interesting to note that this article in Nature goes on to say, quotes, "Some of the numbers," that's to say the numbers from PsiQuantum, "are not as good as they need to be," says Graham Smith, a quantum physicist at the University of Waterloo in Canada. For example, he says the likelihood that a heralded particle is detected is reported as 26% when it needs to be more than 50%. Quotes, "It is not encouraging that after many years they are still struggling with good single photon sources, since it is the most basic building block of their proposed architecture," close quotes, he, that is Graham Smith, a quantum physicist, says. Mr Speaker, this is further troubling evidence that the Minister for Industry and Science has put almost $1 billion of taxpayers' money at risk on what is a very high-risk bet. For these and other reasons, I have written to the Auditor-General requesting that the Australian National Audit Office undertake an investigation into the Australian government's investment in PsiQuantum. There are many aspects of what happened here which are very concerning, and as a result of this decision, Australian taxpayers are now exposed as to almost $1 billion of their money at risk in a remarkably speculative venture. Australians deserve to know the truth.